Welcome to the third Photoshop tutorial in this series. For this one, I'm going to give you a more in-depth look at photo restoration. I found a great photo. This one here. This is from probably the 1950s, if not earlier. And it was stuck in a frame for a very long time. And when it was taken out of that frame, a lot of it stuck to the glass. So we're talking decades and decades of being in a glass frame. So it ripped away all this. And there's scratches, and generally speaking it's in pretty poor condition. So I felt that that was a good one to do a more advanced look at how you can fix something like this up. So what I'm going to do is basically just attack this the way I would, and hopefully follow along and get some ideas. Very first thing I want to do is get rid of the border on this. So let me see if this photo was scanned straight. No, it wasn't. So I'm going to rotate the image, and I'm going to get it so that it's at least straight in there, so when I make this crop I do it correctly. That's good enough like that. And then we'll bring in the guides. That one's okay. This one, like right about there. I'm going to bring in one more right here, and I'm going to bring one more guide down like this. The reason I'm doing this is because when you create guides like that, your trim tool, your crop tool will actually sort of lock to those. So I don't have to be precise. I can just do it now, and it'll lock to my guides there. See how it snaps to them? Alright, so let's call that the end right there. Alright, so that made that at least straight and got rid of those nasty borders. I'm going to save this real quick. Always save and save often. We'll call this. Always ignore that. Alright, so for the next step, I think we'll just go right to, and what I want to do is I just want to get rid of the tint of it, because that is not a natural tint. This was originally a black and white photograph, and what happened was a print over time sitting there in a glass frame. It oxidized, the sun bleached it. It wasn't meant to be this sepia tone. So we're going to go to adjustments, we're going to say desaturate, make it pure black and white. Come in here, adjustments, auto levels. Let's see if it does anything for me that I like. I always try to do the auto ones first, just see if it'll make things nice to start with, and then work from there. Bring up normal levels and see if I like to do anything with it. Gotta watch, I don't want to make anything too dark. I also don't want to make the baby's dress too white so that it's blown out. It actually is really lacking any detail. Let me just see if I zoom in. I gotta get out of levels first. Yeah, there really is no detail in that anymore. It's just kind of blurred away. Alright, we'll leave it at, the color wise, we'll leave it at that to start with. Alright, so simple stuff first. Like things like this line here. You do have a heal brush. Originally, what I had to do for years, before they created this whole little healing section, was use the stamp tool, and using the Alt key, sample a little area, and then paint like that. And you would take little samples and do little at a time, because as you go up, the shadows change, the lighting changes, so you can't just hit it once and go wham up the whole thing. You end up with a big mess like that. You got to do it a little bit at a time. The healing tools that they have now are not bad. I don't mind them, but they're only going to work in some areas. So let's go in here, and with the healing brush I can just go like that, and it's gone. Go like that, and it's gone. This little mess right here, let's see if and it's gone. So this brush is really cool, believe me. I'm so happy they invented this little brush, because this did not exist, and you had to do all the stamp tools. This area here is when it starts to get messy with this tool, because it starts to sample everything around it, and like when you change over colorings like this, you see how it creates a big mess. If I do it in here, it's fine. Let's see there, it made a mess. Depends on where you use it, whether or not this brush will work. See, that one created a weird line there. So, for little things, this brush is great. And I'll just hit that right there. For bigger stuff, it really starts to, you need to start using the stamp tool. I'm going to see if this brush will handle this mess right here. Yeah, it did pretty well. And right there, pretty well. Not great, but see, now we're creating a disaster here. I don't even know what the heck that just tried to do. Yeah, and it starts to get real blurry when it has nothing to work with but solid white, which was literally the top of the scanner. It starts to just make a mess. See, it just blurs into a big mess. So that's no good anymore. So the real way, the original way, is still the way I like to do it for more detailed things. You come in here with the rubber stamp tool, and we start sampling. And we paint. Every time I go like this, I'm actually taking a sample of the wall area, because as you go up, the lighting's going to change. And we're painting away with the wall. Now what we have there is a sort of a line from the ceiling, and what I'm going to do is sample that part of the line and see if I can't draw it. Almost did what I wanted. Went a little too far with it. Like that. Sample that line again. Like that. Come back over here, sample this part of the line. Paint it like that. We grab this part of the line over here, give it another paint, and we'll build that up so that we're creating the lines, not just a solid area like this. We're actually creating those lines. A lot of times you got to get real zoomed in on this, something like right here. And what we'll do is we'll come in with the stamp tool, and we'll come in with a solid brush, smaller like that. Get out of there. And I'll take some in between, and I'll take some of the darker part. Something like that. Getting the idea, you getting the idea here. This is all a big mess right here. That I could probably do with the quick tool. It's making a bigger mess right there. Such a cool tool. Was not in the original, that's for sure. But you get those ideas. Now, when you get to something like this, and you kind of look at this and say, oh my god, how in the world could I ever repair this? There's doors behind it, there's structure there, I can't see any of that. Take it a little bit at a time. So let's zoom in and see what we got to work with. Got a big mess here. Now, let me zoom a little bit out again. Oh, good lord, I lost it. You got to look at it piece by piece. We got a white tone here. We got these lines here. We got really just dark back there. We don't have a lot to work with. But you can assume that it's pretty much just going to match this, which, because it was a wall, it was dark, very underexposed. Looks like you have a doorway back there. See the panel for the doorway? Comes up. And obviously it's going to make a turn over here to hit this line right here. So it looks like that is a doorway. See? Here to here. So what happens here is you got to use your imagination. Just like this line here. See how this door area comes up? You know it's going to make a right angle turn there. So you just got to use your imagination with these kinds of parts. Because there's nothing really... You know, you try using that heel tool there and say, oh, build me all this. Well, it doesn't know what you're talking about. So this is where you just gotta use your imagination, creativity, and you gotta attack it a little bit at a time. So let me make my brush a little bit bigger. I'm gonna say to sample this area here, and I'm gonna bring this down like that. Okay. Something like that. Let's see. What area of this line do I like? I like that area. So let's try this. Let's take this and let's copy that and paste it. Just did a Control C, Control V. Now we can come in there like that and do it one more time, paste it one more time. And it looks like that is a little off, so I'm going to say rotate that just a tad. That's a little too much. Let me see the second one, and we'll rotate that just a tiny bit also. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to merge them down because I'm not going to edit those individually. Now I want to bring them back into the main image. Remember, if you merge something down, you're not going to be able to play with it again as a standalone item. It is now part of the original photo. Alright, so I got this area here. My rubber stamp tool again, make it a little smaller, come in, and we're going to blend that better. And right here, let me zoom in a tiny bit more, we're going to blend that just a little bit like that. And this little area here, let's blend that a little better. I'm getting better, getting better. Alright, something along those lines. And now we got this sort of, it's not just the light directly to gray, there's that sort of black line there. We might be able to get away with just rubber stamp tooling across like that. Okay, and we'll come in here and we'll paint that all. Okay, let's zoom out a tad and see what we've done. Angle's a little bit off. So I'm going to take this area real quick, this whole area, and I'm going to say rotate that ever so slightly so that it kind of starts increasing its angle a little more so that it matches up a little better. And same old, same old. Paint with my stamp tool and kind of start fixing that up. Let's see, that line, it's going to go up, and this one it's going to go over, is going to meet right about here. Is it? So it looks like we got a line here, it's going to meet right about here. It's going to go up, and it's going to turn. So let's start using what we have. We've got this area here to work with. So I'm going to say copy paste, and I'm going to start bringing it up. Let's see here. Got to match the angle of the image. That's where it gets a little bit intricate here. Something like that. Looks okay. And I'm going to merge them down. And now we got this angle here. So let me zoom in. I have this to work with. So let's start copying and pasting. Whoops, I'm on the wrong layer. Flatten that image down. Copy paste. Copy paste. Copy paste. Copy paste. Suddenly we're coming to an angle there. Now we'll come back to that tool. Let me merge everybody. Merge the visible. And let's create a fake angle switch right here. Let's go like that and go like that. And take some of this and we're creating that angle. Okay, I'm going to drop my opacity because what I want to do is blend that a little better. And give me one more dark hit with that just to blend the lighting better. So we're creating that line there in the door, and we're going to just fill in and start alright. Now for this doorway It's another one. It's not. It looks like it's overwhelming. We got two things we can't meet up. It's actually not that bad when you get down to it here. I'm gonna take this area here and I'm gonna crop them right there. I'm gonna say cut and paste. Something like that. Paste me another one, something like that. Okay, that's fine like that. Merge my visible. Got a piece up here, and that can do the whole dark thing. I'll work on what's below it in a moment. Copy, paste, and let's see if we can bring that like that. And what I want to do is my eraser. I'm just going to erase this part of it so that I don't have to do too much more when I merge them. So let's merge that down. Let's copy some of that. Let's lower the opacity so I can take and blend the color a little better. Some of that dark, some of that light, some of that dark. Oops, I always hit the wrong part. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do it. Give me some of this dark, just so I can blend that a little more. Okay. Alright. Now we have that angle there. Let's make it look like it came to a correct point by doing that, by doing that, and by doing that. And now it looks like it actually came to that point like that. Let's drop, we'll raise that back up to 100, and we'll fix the easy area around it. A little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Don't get carried away. You get carried away, it's when all of a sudden you got a big mess like that. Make friends with Control Z, your undo. And we'll paint and we're painting and we're painting. Look at that, we came to that, made that look like we actually have that corner there. We're gonna, and you know, you come in, you blend these things. Let's see, where the heck am my burn tool? Like that big, lower it real low, and let's, you know, okay, see there? We're blending our edits together. Things like that you do. You start making your corners and your edits, and you start making your repairs just like that. This one here, got that whole rail looking thing going on. Let's zoom into that, about that far. Don't want to get myself confused as to my location. Alright, copy paste. Bring him over like that. His angle is funky, isn't it? So we're gonna rotate it a tad. Let's see, raise it up. I'm using the arrow keys right now to come up in tiny little increments. That's what looks like it should meet up okay. Alright, now we got that pasted. Be okay. We'll just relight it piece by piece with the stamp tool. Because you can tell it's a little bit too dark, so we'll take the areas that are around it. Where am I here? Maybe merge down. Take areas that are around it. And do that. Come in here like that. And this is where you would go to blend something. Use a little bit less at a time. And slowly blend it. So you're using a little bit less saturation each time so that you can try to match what's happening color wise. And we build that up real slow and fix this whole area up just like that, and then that'll have to be blended to match the color, but you see how it gets done, and that's the point. I'm not going to sit here for 2 hours. This would actually take me a couple of hours to do this exactly the way it should be done, and I will do it, and I will show you the end of it. I'll stop recording and I'll show you the final version of it when I'm done, but you know, I don't want to sit here for a couple hours and let you just watch that, because you know, once you know what you're doing, you really don't need to keep watching anyway. Once you get the idea of it, what's the point of you sitting here watching me fix something? You can go fix something. So little scratches again, goes back to this tool, you know, repairs it. Very nice, very nice. And like one of the last things I do is I go back in especially with an old print like this, and I just get rid of all the white little dots. And believe me, that takes some time. But that's the idea. That's what you're doing. I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to bring up do like a split screen or something of the final version. Okay, we're back. I put them as two different layers. You can see this is just when I cropped off the edges. This is what we started with. This is what I've done to it. Okay, from that to that. And I'm bringing up a close-up. Still some recoloring I think I need to do. I mean, I can see it. This is a little bit too bright versus this. From that to that. More time. Okay. Some work needs to be done with it still, but you get the idea. And that is mainly you're using the stamp tool, you're using a lot of copy pasting with things that you do have. You know, when you don't have big gaps like this, you kind of in your life you know what a corner looks like when two walls come together. So you got to use your imagination as to what that will look like when it's done, and create those angles. And that wraps it up for this one. Hope you learned something. Hope you go fix some photographs. And we'll see you next time.